Once upon a time, in the heart of Lekki, where the city's elites reside in gated estates, where power wore designer suits and secrets hide behind luxury blinds, a man named Noso believed he had found an angel. Noso was a man every woman wanted, decent, wealthy, and dangerously kind. But lurking in the shadows of his success was a woman with a plan, one who had rehearsed her role well. She wore humility like a crown, carried a Bible like a shield, and spoke with the soft rhythm of a woman raised in God's house. But hidden beneath this veil of godliness was a mind as calculating as it was beautiful. A woman who knew that in a city where appearance ruled, the fastest way to a man's heart was through the perfect lie. She wasn't looking for love, she was looking for access. Nonso was a handsome 33 years old man in his prime. He lived in his own duplex in Lekki and owned a very successful logistics company. Nonso was the kind of man who didn't need to shout about his wealth. His success spoke louder than his words. One evening, after a long day at work, Nonso went for the usual evening walk with his earpods on and checking his wrist to know the time when it happened. Bam! A soft body had crashed into him and a small handbag went flying, spilling its contents all over the tarred road. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," the young woman gasped, kneeling quickly to gather her things. Nonso, being the gentleman he was, quickly bent down to help. "No, no, it's my fault. I wasn't looking." As their eyes met, he found himself staring a moment too long. She was beautiful, not in the loud Lagos slay queen way he saw all the time. Light caramel skin, round expressive eyes, and she wore a simple floral gown. She looked so gentle and innocent. "Are you okay?" he asked, holding out a lip balm she had dropped. "Yes, thank you." She took it, her fingers brushing his. "I am fine. I wasn't watching where I was going." He gave a small smile. "No harm done. Just be careful next time." She nodded shyly, adjusting her bag. "I will. Thank you, sir." And just like that, she went her way, leaving behind a faint smell of her lavender perfume and a feeling Nonso couldn't shake off. 2 days later, Nonso was out for his early morning jog. The streets were still quiet, only the distant sound of a dog barking. He was still thinking about the pretty stranger when, to his surprise, he saw her again. She was walking by the roadside, Bible in hand, dressed in a simple white dress and a light blue headscarf, looking exactly like someone coming straight from church. Her face lit up when she saw him. "Oh, it's you," she said, her smile soft and surprised. "We bumped into each other 2 days ago, remember?" Nonso slowed down, laughing lightly. "Small world, I was just thinking about that," he said. She laughed softly and said, "God works in mysterious ways, you know." They fell into a smooth conversation. "My name is Anita, and I live with my older sister not far from the area, and I've just finished an all-night vigil at my church," she said. "Wow," Noso said, impressed. "So you are one of those people with real dedication." She smiled humbly. "I just try my best. God has been so good to me." They exchanged contacts and went their separate ways, but Nonso kept looking back at her, her scarf fluttering in the early morning breeze. Something about her felt different, refreshing. He jogged on, smiling softly as he thought about her. That evening, as he scrolled through his phone in his living room, Anita's smile and her soft laughter wouldn't leave his mind. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe it was fate. He didn't know. but he knew he wanted to see her again. 2 days later, Nonso found Anita again, not by chance this time. He just had to send her a text message. "Hey, it's the guy you bumped into 2 days ago. Want to grab lunch this weekend?" Anita replied quickly, politely, and just like he hoped. "Hi, sure, I'd like that, but somewhere quiet, please." They met at a cozy quiet cafe in Lekki. Anita arrived early. She wore no heavy makeup, only a touch of lip gloss. When Nonso walked in, her face lit up. "Hi," she said warmly. They talked for hours. Anita told him about growing up in Enugu, losing her parents at an early age, and how her elder sister raised her. She spoke of her church community, the Bible study meetings she loved, and how she wanted to live a humble, God-fearing life. Nonso listened, hooked by her words. He loved how she seemed different from the flashy Lagos lifestyle he knew. "You are different," he told her. And as they left the cafe, Anita smiled shyly. "Different how? Most people, they want something from me. But with you, I don't feel that." She lowered her eyes and whispered, "I am not like most people." Her words made him like her even more. In the weeks that followed, their conversations became a routine. Morning calls, late night chats about faith, dreams, and family. Anita never asked for expensive gifts or fancy dates. Even when Nonso insisted, she would laugh softly and say, "I'm fine with anything as long as I am with you." To Nonso, her humility was like a breath of fresh air. In a city where everyone wanted to show off, Anita seemed so real. One evening, he drove her home after dinner. As she stepped out of the car, she turned back, looking at him. "Thank you for today," she said softly. "I don't take any of this for granted." Nonso's chest tightened. "Anita, I think I am falling for you." Her lips curved into a trembling smile. "Me too," she whispered, before stepping into her home. By the end of the second month, Nonso couldn't imagine life without her. He introduced her to his world, his thriving logistics company, his home, and a few trusted friends, and everyone seemed to like her. It was a quiet Sunday evening. Nonso had invited Anita over for dinner at his house. She arrived in a simple white gown. After dinner, Nonso stood up, his heart pounding, and pulled out a small red velvet box, holding a sparkling diamond ring. Anita gasped as he knelt before her. "Anita," he said, with his voice shaking a bit, "I don't want to waste any more time. Will you marry me?" Tears fell from her eyes. "Yes, Nonso, yes, I will marry you." 3 months after their first meeting, they were married in an intimate but elegant ceremony. Anita, in her white lace gown, looked every bit of the innocent church girl Nonso believed she was. But the truth was that the show was just beginning. The honeymoon phase didn't last long. Anita settled quickly into her role as Mrs. Nonso, moving through his house like she had lived there forever. She knew where everything was, learned his daily schedule by heart, and soon started doing little tasks for him. His laundry, preparing his lunchbox for the office, even answering his calls when he was too busy. At first, Nonso loved it. "Babe, you are truly my peace," he would tell her, smiling as she handed him his packed lunch before he left for work. She would just smile sweetly and say, "Of course, my love." That is what a good wife does. But slowly, Anita's influence began to spread further. "Nonso, why do you always ask Uche about everything first?" she asked one morning as they had breakfast. He has been my closest friend since our university days, Nonso replied, surprised. Yes, but you are married now. Shouldn't your wife be the first person you confide in? The words were light, but they stuck in Nonso's mind. Anita didn't push too hard at first. She was careful, dropping seed of doubt, watching them take root. Whenever Nonso's sister, Amaka, visited, Anita would go into the bedroom, faking tears. Amaka, she doesn't like me, Anita would whisper, her voice trembling. I heard her telling someone on the phone that I am just after your money. She keeps looking at me as if I am not good enough. Nonso's chest tightened in anger. No, she wouldn't. I am not saying you should cut her off, Anita interrupted quickly. But maybe keep some things between us. I just want to feel safe in this marriage. Nonso, protective of his new wife, began to distance himself from the people who had been his anchor for years. At first, no one noticed, but Anita had planted the first seeds of isolation, and soon she would begin the next phase of her plan. 3 months into the marriage, Anita had almost full access to Nonso's life. She convinced him to let her help with his business paperwork, explaining that she wanted to support him better. Babe, you work too hard, she said one evening, leaning against the door of his home office. Let me take some stress off you. At least the basic admin things, I can handle them. Nonso thought about it, then handed her a folder of documents. Okay, but these aren't anything major, just routine papers. Anita smiled, kissed his cheek, and walked away. That night, alone in the study, she flipped through the papers, invoices, authorizations, and contracts, carefully marking the ones she needed. Within weeks, Nonso found himself more and more distanced from his friends and family. Uche's calls went unanswered. His mother complained that she hardly saw him anymore. When he finally brought it up with Anita, she sighed softly, her lips trembling. Nonso, I didn't want to say anything before, but they don't like me. I can feel it. I am always the outsider. I don't want to come between you and your family, but I can't keep being in a place where I am unwanted. Nonso's heart ached. Okay, babe, I understand. He didn't realize she was isolating him so she could walk freely. 6 months into the marriage, cracks began to appear in Nonso's business. Profits dropped unexpectedly. Shipments were delayed. Clients complained about unprocessed payments. He stayed up late, looking at numbers, but nothing made sense. How is this happening? He mumbled to himself, rubbing his head. Anita would come into the study with a caring smile, placing her hands on his shoulders. Baby, don't stress yourself. God will handle it. Maybe you just need to trust the people in your company less. Remember what happened with Uche before. Maybe there are snakes in your company. Her words, meant to look like comfort, just pushed him further into confusion and distrust. Anita's plans were moving fast. Slowly, she started bringing new documents for Nonso to sign, explaining them as normal routine operational authorizations. Just sign here, baby. It's for the new supplier. They are cheaper and it will help the business bounce back. Nonso, tired, distracted, and worried about his business, signed without thinking. He didn't know that each signature was another rope tightening around his own neck. The disaster hit suddenly like a powerful thunderstorm. Nonso was in his office one Thursday morning when his operations manager Kunle rushed in, his face pale with fear. Sir, Zenith Bank froze one of our company's accounts. Nonso blinked. What? Why? They said there were unauthorized withdrawals in millions, sir. Within hours, Nonso was on the phone with suppliers apologizing for bounce payments, clients threatened to pull their contracts, staff members whispered as he walked through the office, their eyes filled with worry. That evening, he sat in his car in the parking lot, the engine turned off, staring blankly into space. Nothing added up or made sense anymore. The company he had built from scratch, his pride, was falling apart before his very eyes, and he couldn't see where the problem was coming from. When he got home that night, Anita was waiting, wearing a concerned expression that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Baby, you look stressed," she said in a calm voice. "Everything is falling apart, Anita," he said, rubbing his forehead. "I don't even know where the money is going." She stroked his arm lightly. "Maybe it's the people you trust in your company. You have always been too trusting." Nonso froze. Those were the exact words she had been whispering for months. The seed of doubt she had carefully planted. A tiny cold shiver ran down his spine. For 3 days, Nonso couldn't find sleep. He scrolled through his phone contacts and paused at a familiar name, Uche. For a long moment, he stared at the screen, his thumb hovering over the call button. They hadn't spoken in months, not since Anita convinced him that Uche was jealous of his success. But something deep inside him, a desperate gut feeling, told him Uche was the only person he could truly trust right now. He went into the restroom and dialed. The call rang twice before Uche picked up, his tone cautious. "Nonso, after all these months?" "Uche, please, I need your help," Nonso whispered, his voice breaking. "Everything is falling apart." They met the next morning at a quiet cafe. Uche looked weary but listened as Nonso told him everything that has gone down in the past months. Frozen accounts, missing funds, failing shipments. "I know I pushed you away," Nonso said, his voice thick with shame. "But please help me look through the accounts. I am drowning as it is." Uche leaned back. "Nonso, I will help you. But first, you need to hear this. I never turned against you. You just didn't trust me." Nonso nodded, shame washing over him. "I know I was wrong. Please, just help me." The next day, Uche sat at Nonso's office, going through all the company's records and transactions. His eyes narrowed. "Wait, what's this?" He pointed at a series of transfers to an unknown account, each cleverly hidden as normal business expenses. Nonso frowned. "I don't know. I never approved those." They dug deeper, following the digital trail. The transfers were regular, small enough to avoid suspicion, but together added up to millions. "Someone has been slowly stealing from your company for months," Uche said, "and they are very good at covering their tracks." Uche insisted on bringing in some cybersecurity guys, and within 48 hours, the experts found hidden approvers linked to Nonso's own signature. They traced where the money transfers started from, and it led them back to a user account linked to Anita. Nonso's heart pounded in his chest. "No, there must be a mistake," he stammered, shaking his head. But deep down, all the pieces of the puzzle started to click together. The document he had signed without reading, Anita's insistence on helping him, and how she slowly pushed everyone he trusted. Nonso leaned back in his chair, the room spinning. His mind replayed everything: their first meeting, the coincidental second meeting, her angelic stories about church vigils, her sweet voice, poisoning his mind against his closest friends and family. The woman he married, the woman he thought was an angel, was a complete fake. Nonso drove home that evening, his hands gripping the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. Every traffic light stop felt like a lifetime. By the time he pulled into the driveway, anger, heartbreak, and disbelief were raging inside him like a wild storm. He found Anita in the living room, relaxing in one of his oversized t-shirts, scrolling through her phone. She looked up and smiled sweetly. "Hey, baby, you are home early. Stop!" His voice was so cold and hard that her smile froze. "We need to talk." Anita set her phone down slowly. "Nonso, what is wrong? You are scaring me." "I know," he said, his voice trembling with pure rage. "I know about the accounts, the missing money, the documents you made me sign." Her eyes widened for a split second, then narrowed. "Are you seriously accusing me? After everything I've done for you, all my sacrifices for this marriage," she cried fake tears. "You have been stealing from me," he spat, "from the company I built with my own hands." "Why, Anita? Was this your plan all along?" For a moment, the room was silent. Then Anita chuckled, sending chills down Nonso's spine. "Oh, Nonso," she said, wearing a cruel smirk on her face. "You are not as smart as you think. You actually believed all that church girl act. You fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. You were so easy." Nonso felt his knees weaken. So everything was a lie. She chuckled dangerously. "I studied you for months before I made my move. You were so predictable, always looking for a good woman to worship you. I gave you exactly what you wanted. You were too blind to even notice." Her voice grew sharper, filled with venom. "You pushed away your friends because I told you to. You signed papers you didn't read because you trusted me. And now," she spread her hands, her smile chilling and calm, "I own everything now. It's all mine." Nonso gasped for breath, his heart pounding. "Why? Why go this far?" Her face hardened. "Because men like you think money makes you untouchable. You flaunt your wealth while others struggle. I wanted to prove that it doesn't. I wanted to take it all from you, just like you think you can take anything you want from the world." Just then, Nonso's phone vibrated in his pocket. It was a message from Uche, informing him that the police are ready outside. Slowly, Nonso looked up at Anita, his voice deadly quiet. "You won't get away with this." Anita laughed, mocking him. "And who is going to stop me? You? The man who can't even trust his own shadow." She laughed a bitter, triumphant laugh. Without breaking eye contact, Nonso dialed a number. "Now," he shouted. Within minutes, the front door burst open and two police officers entered, with Uche standing behind them. Anita's smirk finally disappeared. "What is this?" she demanded, backing away, fear finally showing in her eyes. "Anita Okafor, you are under arrest for embezzlement and fraud." As they led her out, Anita turned to Nonso, her eyes burning with pure hatred. "This isn't over, Nonso. You will regret crossing me." But Nonso stood there, numb, watching the woman he thought he loved being taken away in handcuffs. The woman who had carefully planned his downfall. Nonso stood in the middle of his once lively home, the echoes of Anita's venomous words still hanging heavy in the air. Every part of the house reminded him of her, the fake smiles in their framed pictures, the throw pillows she had insisted on buying for the couch, even the faint smell of her perfume lingered in the curtains that night. He couldn't sleep. He kept replaying their first meeting, the accidental bump, her angelic smile, the second coincidental meeting where she claimed she was returning from an all-night vigil. Had he really been that blind? Uche came over the next day, his presence serving as a quiet support. Together they went through the company's books, uncovering just how much Anita had stolen. Millions were gone, siphoned into hidden accounts. His business had taken a major hit, but with Uche's help and a team of brilliant accountants, Nonso began closing the loopholes and rebuilding what remained. "You will bounce back," Uche said firmly, patting his shoulder, "but you have to learn from this experience. No more blind trust." Nonso slowly began reaching out to the friends and family he had pushed away because of Anita's lies. Many were hesitant at first, still hurt by how he had distanced himself from them, but with time they saw his genuine regret. His mother's voice trembled with emotion when he finally called her. "Ah, my son, I prayed for your eyes to open. Thank God you are back." At night, Nonso would sit on his balcony, thinking deeply and staring into the night sky of Lagos. He realized it wasn't just Anita's betrayal that hurt the most. It was his own foolishness, his desperate need to believe in a fantasy. He had mistaken performance for true character, confusing fake humility for true kindness. Months later, while jogging in the park, something he hadn't done since Anita's betrayal, he bumped into a young woman carrying a Bible and laughing with a group of friends. For a brief second, fear and suspicion fled inside him. Then he took a deep breath, reminding himself that not every smile was a mask, but wisdom meant moving slower, asking questions, and trusting actions over sweet words. Nonso eventually rebuilt his company, this time with better systems and people he could truly trust. The betrayal left scars, but it also left him wiser. He learned that love built on deception will always collapse under its own weight. True character isn't just in what people say, but in what they do, over and over again, through time. Nonso finally found his peace, a peace built on the harsh truth, not just on sweet lies. Be careful who you marry. Not everyone who calls you God's gift was sent by God. Some are just actors playing a well-rehearsed role. Subscribe to Folktales by Eunick for more true Nigerian and African stories that teach and shock.